Hello everyone, this is Alex from Velocity Trading. This is going to be a stock analysis for the upcoming week ending on Friday, August 21st, 2020. Always remember that any stock or security that I go over in my videos here is not a recommendation to buy or sell, as you need to do the analysis yourself. Let's jump into it. The first ticker that I wanted to go over is ticker symbol BA, Boeing. I may have an overall bias on this as I do have a long currently. It is one of my four main stocks that I like to look at every single day in the market. But overall, I am a swing trader, so I am not trading every single day, as I am just waiting for those high probability trades to come to me at areas of supply and demand, which is the main thing that I trade off of. I do not use any volume indicators. I do not use any news. I do not use fundamentals, no RSI, none of that. Just supply and demand imbalance. Notice that we have created a very nice third higher pivot low here on the week of the 3rd August 2020. Price has been consolidating, slowly sloping down here from our highs on the 8th of June 2020. We have just started to see this red line representing the 20 SMA. The only two moving averages that I like to use is the 20 SMA and the 200 SMA. The 20-day has just started to curl above price here in the weekly time frame. We have created a very nice area of demand imbalance back here at the origin of the move at 145. Price has came all the way back from our highs here on June 8th, upwards of 234.20 on the weekly chart, back into our origin of the move, just slightly above their two lows of 153, and getting a very, very nice reaction there off of the trend line and this area of demand imbalance. Back in June, I did have a long on Boeing, which I obviously was taking off as we were coming back into highs here on the 8th of highs of June 8th, 2020. You can see a little more clearly on the daily time frame that we have created a very, very clear area of demand imbalance back here off of the base rally, putting in our highs once again on June 8th, 2020, coming nowhere else other than our area of supply that has been created back on this two gap down candles from the date of the 9th of March 2020 and the date of the 10th March 2020, with price continuing to sell off lower, which is another area of supply, perfectly coming back into this, which was a very nice opportunity, of course, to go short, which obviously I did not. I was taking off profit as we were coming into this area of supply and sitting on my hands, staying patient, waiting for that next area to be retraced back to, which we have just come into the origin of the move here, getting a very nice reaction that we always like to see off of an area of demand. Especially in this market right now, you want to be very sharp, be on your toes. It's very difficult to be playing those weekly options, especially out of the money, as they are very low probability, and you may get very burned on the time premium. Always remember, we are only trending in the market 30% of the time. 70% of the time we are ranging, which is giving you that indication that a majority of the time in the market, especially as a swing trader, you're just going to be sitting on your hands. You're going to stay patient, and it's all a game of patience. The question is, how patient are you willing to be? We have a top end zone of supply that has been created on Boeing back on the week of the 17th February 2020, which has a top end zone of around this $350 level. Long-term target on Boeing is upwards of $350. It does not matter how long it takes for Boeing to get there. The only question is, how long are you willing to stay patient for it, and how much time are you willing to buy on your options? The average trader obviously wants to buy the weekly options, as they are not able to afford potentially the options with more time, or it is not appealing to them as they want a quick return. But always remember, looking at the large time frame, weekly time frame in this case, which with each candle representing 1 week's worth of time in the market, you want to find that high probability trade and sit on your hands waiting for those areas of demand and supply to be retraced to for a nice long or short opportunity. Really nice to see price now curling and holding above the 20 MA. I want to keep a very close eye on Boeing this week as we are continuing to hold the trend line and getting a very, very nice bounce off the origin of the move. Once again, long-term target at highs here of $350. Moving forward, my next stock that I want to go over is Zoom, ticker ZM. This is Zoom Video Communications that has been on an absolute tear here, dating all the way back to February 3rd, 2020, when we had this impulse move back from the lows here of $77. We have made a very nice move overall into highs, taking us to the 13th of July 2020, putting in highs of 281 to the penny. Price now is just starting to slip below the 20 MA here. I did have a short on Zoom over the last couple weeks, as I am looking to roll over into getting something with more time as the date of expiration is coming closer. But once again, in terms of a long play, we're more so interested, of course, in the long side of it, as we do have a very, very clear area of demand imbalance, which has been created back here at the origin of the move, dating to 27th May at $150. This is demand. Price has not retraced back to this yet for the first time, so this is a perfect example of staying patient. It is a game of patience, sitting on your hands, and all we're going to do is wait, unless you are looking for a short opportunity at smaller time frame areas, if you are taking some day trades or scalps. But from a swing trader approach and mentality, you want to be identifying those levels of demand below and supply above for that high probability trade. So longer picture, obviously I am not expecting Zoom to have a straight downward move this upcoming week into the origin of the move of 150. If it did, I would be looking for a long. But of course, over the next couple weeks, maybe next couple months, as Zoom can continue lower back into this origin of the move at 150, I would be considering a long opportunity. So I will continue to sit on my hands and wait for that trade to present itself. Next ticker symbol is BKNG. This is booking. This is another one of the four main stocks that I like to look at in the market every single day. I have not taken a trade personally on BKNG in the last couple weeks now. It is forming a slight triple top here at these highs here around the 1850. If I move over to the weekly time frame, once again, each candle on this chart representing 1 week's worth of time trading in the market here. We have a very identifiable uptrend connecting our higher pivot lows. Price is now holding once again above the 20 MA, which is starting to curl back to the upside, but we do have our 200-day moving average, which will act as resistance, forming a potential triple top up here. I am not personally interested in taking a short up here. If you were to do that, I obviously would recommend to use a tight stop if that is something that you are going to look at. But in terms of a higher probability trade, I am going to wait for this area of supply imbalance above, which has been created on the week of 17th February 2020 at the open of 1972, around this 2000 level for a short opportunity. Price has not retraced to this yet for the first time, so it is another example of staying patient and waiting. Something that I would like to look at coming into this next week is if we are going to get a rejection off this 20 MA, that would take us, of course, back into this trend line, which has not been broken yet, which would take it around that $1,700 level, depending on the time and how long it takes for price to retrace back to this. We have a very identifiable area of demand, which has been created back on the week of 18th May 2020 at level 1430. Once again, level 1430 is an area of demand that price has not retraced back to yet. I would really like and be interested in taking a long at this level of demand on BKNG, but until then, it's going to be a game of patience and waiting. I am going to wait for either a short opportunity at the highs here of the top end zone supply around the 1972 and a quarter, or the demand zone down here that price has not retraced back to yet around that 1430. So right now it is kind of sitting in the middle here. I do not want to diddle in the middle. I want to sit on my hands and stay patient. But that is not to say that this coming week BKNG can get a breakout above this and head higher into the supply level above. If not, that is completely fine. I will continue to sit on my hands and wait for the next level to present itself, whether that is the supply level above or the demand level below. Next ticker is FedEx. FDX is the ticker symbol. FedEx has been on quite a tear here, just starting to get moving, really getting moving here on the weekly time frame. It hasn't seen much of a pullback, so this is a really good example for those of you that have been struggling, or you do struggle with buying in at the top and really falling into FOMO and having your emotions really getting the best of you. And you can see how buying at these highs, sometimes, yes, of course, the momentum will continue, but in the longevity of it, it is really going to hand your ass back to you on a silver platter, and that is not a good thing, of course. We have a very clear area of supply imbalance created back on the 3rd December 2018. Price has not retraced back to this yet. That is around the open of 232.66. So something I want to watch in this upcoming week is if FedEx momentum can continue to the upside here, pushing into this level of supply. I would be interested in taking a short opportunity, depending on how the chart is setting up at the time, of course. And we have a very, very clear area of demand imbalance, which has been created at the origin of the move at the lows here around this 20 MA at the open of this candle around this 130. That is something that I am waiting on. FedEx right now kind of sitting in the middle, but if that momentum will continue to the upside this coming week and push us around that top end zone of supply that price has not retraced to yet for the first time, I will be interested in potentially taking a short trade on it. Once again, having to match up with the rest of my playbook and plan for that specific trade. So ticker FDX, demand created right here at the lows around the 130, presenting a very nice long opportunity in the future, whenever that may be. It does not matter how long price will take to retrace back to that. The question is, how long are you willing to stay patient and wait for that trade to come to you? So that is something I am looking at this week. Price is breaking above the 200 MA on the weekly time frame. Once again, every single candle here representing 1 week's worth of time. Next ticker is AG Majestic Silver Corp. Silver and gold obviously have been on a tear the last couple weeks now, and a pullback was more than expected. Very, very nice identifiable uptrend here on AG on the weekly time frame. We are above both moving averages, 20 and 200 day. I like to keep it very simple. I only use the 20 and the 200 day. If you use the 50, if you use the 13, if you use the 9, that's completely fine. I'm a big believer in the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid. And too many traders want to complicate their trading and have all of these indicators and all of this crap that is going on there that obviously will act as a smokescreen, really deflecting you away from your overall bias on a trade. If we move to the lower time frame on the daily, it's more identifiable. We have a very clear area of demand imbalance, which has been created at the origin of the move around the 1050. This is a type of ticker that I'm more so interested in picking up equity, as I already do have now, and continuing to add into this into the future, as I do believe silver and gold prices will continue much higher, in terms of also picking up physical silver and gold, which is something that we have been talking about in the Velocity community all the way back to the beginning of the year in 2019. Very identifiable uptrend. Price is just getting below the 20-day on the daily time frame, but still above the 200. Once again, long-term equity play for myself, but just to show you the demand imbalance which has been created back here, waiting for price to come lower for an additional long opportunity, something that I am keeping an eye on this week. And we, of course, had to expect a pullback on gold and silver. A really good example, once again, of FOMO buying. You know, we see gold rocketing over 2,000 and silver really getting going too. You can't expect, of course, everything to move up straight forever. There's going to be a corrective phase, there's going to be a consolidation phase, and we're going to have a pullback. So remember, demand, buying at demand, shorting at supply, nothing in the middle. You do not want to diddle in the middle. Very clear area of demand imbalance created back here off the base rally from the date of 17th July 2020. Next ticker is symbol PFE. This is Pfizer. If you look at Pfizer here on the weekly time frame, once again, each candle representing 1 week's worth of time, we have a very identifiable downward trend that price has just broken above and now holding above the flat 200-day moving average and also above the 20-day. We have a very identifiable level of supply which has been created back from the 29th July 2019, upwards of $43. I would be interested in potentially taking a short up here, depending at the time being when Pfizer can get up to these highs, but right now, an example of diddling in the middle. I am not interested in taking a long or short here, just something worth mentioning looking forward into the next week, seeing if Pfizer can continue to hold above this downward trend line and all moving averages. But we do have our demand imbalance, which has been created below, dating all the way back to the week of the 22nd June and the date of the 29th June, which has caused this big upwards impulse move, breaking these previous highs downwards of the $32 level, which is something that I am looking at for a potential long if Pfizer is to retrace back to that level. Next ticker symbol is JETS, JETS. Now, if you do not want to look at all of the airliners, of course, they have been getting slammed with this whole COVID pandemic that we're dealing with. And if you do not want to look at every single one of the airline companies, you will notice how all of them look very similar, if not identical, to the JETS ETF here as a conglomerate of the whole. We have our top end zone from the week of 17th February 2020, and the open is 31.21. This is an area of supply imbalance that price, of course, is not retraced to yet, and we have a very identifiable area of demand imbalance, which price has perfectly gotten a bounce off of. This is the type of reaction that you want to see, of course, in the market as we retrace back to areas of demand and supply. I do currently have a long position on JETS. It does expire in September, but I do like this overall long term, so I am considering looking to roll over something with more time. But a very nice move overall, very similar to the Boeing chart that we were just going over a couple moments ago, which we are now starting to hold above the 20 MA, which is starting to curl back to the upside here, and once again getting a very nice reaction off of this level of demand imbalance from the week of 1st June 2020. Next ticker symbol, and the last one I want to go over, is ROKU, ROKU. This is one of my top tickers I look at every single day in the market. Notice how we have a nice downward trend line that price has broken, dating all the way back to our all-time highs on the 9th of September 2019 at 176.55, and we also have this upward trend that price has been continuing to hold, putting in its second higher pivot low. But we have not retraced back to the trend line, and we are a bit overextended from the 20 MA right now. Price is continuing to consolidate upwards of these highs here. You cannot see it on the larger time frame, but we did have earnings released on ROKU just last week, and we came right into the previous highs here of 176.55. Not a surprise to see a sell-off off of that, and now we were just kind of sitting here in the middle. Something that I am looking at going into this next week is a further sell-off back into these lows here of 135, and you can notice here old resistance is now new support. Price has not come back to this level yet. I would be considering to take a long here. You can notice all of these weekly candles have just been wicking above the 130, 135 level, not getting any weekly candle closes above, indicating buying pressure with all of these topping tail wicks, resulting of course in a sell-off right back to trend once again here for about 3 weeks of time, finally getting that break above, and the origin of the move sitting all the way back around this 115. If you move to the lower time frame being the daily, you may be able to identify this level of demand a lot more clearly, and that would take us just around the downward trend line and just below the just below this upward trend line. So once again, it's a very good example of staying patient, especially in this market right now. Very difficult to be playing weekly options, especially if they are out of the money. A lot of a lower probability trade and much of a headache. If you want to learn more about supply and demand imbalance and the type of system that I use in my trading as a swing trader here, knowing that the market is only trending 30% of the time, so a majority of the time you will be sitting on your hands waiting for those levels of supply and demand to come to you, you're more than welcome to come over and sign up for a free week trial on Velocity Trading. No BS, all you need is a name and email. It's that simple. Come on over. Join the live stream. I stream every single day, Monday through Friday, starting at 8:30 a.m. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I do not bite, and I will be more than happy to help. Thank you for listening. I appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to speaking. Take care.